Before we talk specifics, it's important to understand that there are a range of different controls we could put in place to mitigate risk, each with its own feasibility and efficacy. And there's a well-established framework in the safety world that we could use to determine the best way to handle these risks. It's called the hierarchy of controls. At the very top of this hierarchy is the concept of elimination. This is by far the most effective risk control method in any scenario, because if there's no risk, there's no hazard. In electrical safety, this typically means de-energizing equipment before any work is done on or near the risk. Of course, it's not always possible to de-energize the equipment, or there might be a risk that the equipment becomes re-energized. So it's important that we have a range of other risk mitigation options available. In terms of substitution, we could swap out the risk with a safer alternative, like replacing high voltage equipment with lower voltage equipment or older models with safer models designed to reduce the risk of an arc flash. Next, we have engineering controls. These are the physical changes to the work environment that reduce our exposure to hazards. So this might be installing arc-resistant panels to shield us from an arc flash, or establishing boundaries around live equipment to keep us at a safe distance. Administrative controls are the policies, procedures, and other ways we alter our behavior to minimize risk. This includes things like assessing and communicating risks, setting permissions around who is and isn't allowed to work in high-risk areas, and employee training to make sure everyone's on the same page about following the rules. Lastly, if there's any risk after implementing all of the above controls, or you're the person directly exposed to the risk of an arc flash, that's when we gear up with personal protective equipment, or PPE. We'll get into the specifics of arc flash PPE later, but it's important to remember that wearable protection is our very last line of defense. It's designed to protect you if an arc flash occurs, but it's always better to prevent or avoid the risky area entirely, wherever possible. Now that we got the bird's eye view out of the way, let's dive into some of the specifics, starting with the preliminary assessments.